Clean energy for our municipalities, next on Caucus, New Jersey.
Funding for this edition of Caucus, New Jersey has been provided by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities and New Jersey's Clean Energy Program, St. Peter's College, Barnabas Health, and Sun National Bank.
The state of New Jersey is in an energy crisis. With 566 municipalities and over 600 school districts, energy costs vary from a few $1,000s a year to millions. If these costs can be reduced, so will the burden on taxpayers. The Board of Public Utilities has literally dozens of programs which are helping.
It might be a pay-for-performance program that is an entire building approach. It might be a simple process, which we would refer to as a direct install program. Something as simple as replacing the lighting, maybe room monitors perhaps, so the lights will go on and off as you walk into a room. It could be thermostats.
But all of these small upgrades can add up to big savings. The process starts with a simple online application and an energy audit.
It's a master plan of how you use energy, how much energy you use, a conditional assessment of all the equipment that's in the building, how much energy will be used at night, how much energy will be used in the summer.
Mike Fischette is the president of Concord Engineering Group, one of 5 pre-selected engineering auditors across the state who provide free energy audits. The audit often starts in the boiler room.
All right. When we walk into a boiler room, typically what I see is old, antiquated equipment that's still operating. And we'll see a 30 or 40-year-old boiler plant that's been operating and it's way past its useful life. So that's the first thing that we'll generally see to replace. Then we'll start to move into the lighting, and we'll start to look at where the lighting is throughout the whole building, and we'll literally take a room-by-room survey of the entire building and count the lights and look at the fixtures and determine how much energy each lighting fixture is using throughout the building.
Then it's back to the office to crunch the numbers. Utility bills are input. A load profile or snapshot of the yearly energy use is created. And then a building model, which duplicates how the building uses energy.
Basically what we have here is you have 3 steam boilers.
From there, Mike and his team can start to input solutions. Then the job is bid out to contractors. In Manchester Township, principal project engineer Joe Vini had 2 problems with his buildings: their lighting and their boilers.
We've had some boilers that were from the 60s. We had other boilers that were from the 80s. They were clearly on their way to just not working anymore, clearly not efficient. I would say some of them had efficiency of about 55 to 60.
With the help of grants, they replaced their 8 old boilers with 5 new ones. Not only were they more efficient and reliable, but they took up about half the space. They also replaced 60 fixtures with new high-efficiency T8 fluorescent lighting. And they installed something called daylight harvesting systems.
Daylight harvesting is basically a system that takes natural sunlight and directs it into an interior workspace, so you don't have to utilize the artificial lights, which uses energy. For example, we're sitting here in our courtroom, which is lit by natural sunlight through the use of solar tubes.
The total cost of both projects was about $73,000. Using an energy-efficient conservation block grant and direct install, there were no out-of-pocket costs to the township.
If it hadn't been for the program, we would have eventually done it, but that was something where we were looking to find, funding sources, and that was going to be something that was going to be done much, much later.
The real goal is to reduce energy consumption. You reduce energy consumption by being more efficient, it will cut your costs. The new master plan is reflecting goals of a 20% reduction by the year 2021. We're certainly on our way to doing that.
I want to thank our producer, Paul Levine, for an excellent package that sometimes talking about it's one thing, seeing is another. Here to examine ways that New Jersey municipalities can save energy, be more efficient, and save tax dollars. We have Lee Solomon, who is in fact the president of the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, Frank Gatti, mayor of Readington Township, Mike Fischette, you saw him in the tape piece, CEO of Concord Engineering, and finally Ed Hutchinson, president of Hutchinson Mechanical Services. I want to thank everyone for joining us here. Listen, Paul laid out this piece that really talks about, Lee, what an inventory, what an energy audit is. And you got to get into the bowels of really looking at how things are being wasted. How common is this?
It's very common. There were more than 400 eligible municipalities and counties that qualified for the audits and for the direct install program. More than 460 took advantage of it. So it's prevalent throughout the state. It's a lot of dollars to be saved, and that affects property taxes.
Help me on this, folks. Why didn't we do this sooner? I mean, if it makes so much sense, we're saving money, we're saving energy, we're being responsible, why don't we do this sooner? No, not everyone at once. Let's go. Come on, we do this. Is politics getting it? Has it gotten in the way?
It's not something that comes to your mind firsthand to start thinking about energy to reduce taxes.
How about, hold on, well, reducing taxes has always come into your mind. This is saving money. This is saving taxpayer dollars. Why didn't we sell it sooner? I mean, I want to go forward, but I want to understand, like, are we catching up now?
I would think that we are catching up a little bit. There was always some type of programs available, but the programs did not quite have the horsepower that they have today. So what's happening is the programs are improving.
Right.
And I think that is probably the biggest piece we're finding across the board.
But it also isn't that you're spending some money up front?
Well, that's part of it, but let me just throw out the idea
Surely.
that in the past, it's largely been government's responsibility to educate the public and business and schools and municipalities about these programs, about these projects. It's been turned over more and more to the private sector, who are much better at marketing it, much better at selling it, and reaching out to the municipalities and the school districts, Mike, Ed, others like them. And so the information is getting out there. It's getting out there effectively because, to be honest with you, I don't think government, I used to be a local official and a county official and a state official. We're not that good at selling things, and when we do sell them, there's a sense of mistrust about it. But, you know, if they've had dealings with Ed or dealings with Mike, or they're comfortable dealing with them, they understand what they're trying to tell them, and they're much better at marketing it. So I think that's part
When
of
you're
it.
out there, go ahead, jump in.
Yeah,
Mike.
here's the problem. I've been living with this for 20 years in this state, and the boiler rooms, the heating systems, the air conditioning systems, the lightings, it's the last thing you want to look at. It's the last things anybody
guts.
wants to do.
You don't want to see the guts.
No, they want a new building. You know, we want something that the public can see. We want something that we can, you know, show, you know, on...
the ribbon cutting isn't in the boiler room.
There's no ribbon cutting in the boiler room. And in fact, you know, you drive up to a school and you see solar panels. That's something you can see. It makes you feel good. You change out a boiler system, we don't get that same kind of benefit. You know,
But
visual. It's not visual.
But when you're out there trying to sell it to taxpayers, how responsive are they to when you make it clear, listen, we'll save X amount of dollars over the next 3 to 5 years? Is that what they respond to, Mayor?
Yes, that's exactly what they'll respond to now. I mean, because everyone's looking at what the government is doing to see if they could do it, you know, figure out to help them do it better to reduce their taxes. So you got a lot of eyes looking on the government officials.
Hey, explain your role in all this.
Our role is, we're a direct install contractor, one of 8
A direct install contractor.
contractor. It's one of the programs put through the BPU, the Office of Clean Energy. So we are one of the 8 across the state that go in and do a total turnkey project for whether it be a municipal.
Whoa, a little jargon here, turnkey.
Turnkey means that as opposed to the owner or the municipality having to go to the BPU and get their own rebates or do their own engineering or do pick up their own energy conservation measures, we come in there with a preset system where we can go in there and take a look at all their energy conservation measures, whether it be boilers like Mike you saw in the video. We take and we put together the analysis, we put together the payback, we put together the finance piece of it, and it's all one piece. They don't have to worry about anything. They don't have to worry about the rebates. The rebates come directly to us, and we go in, do the project, and it's done. Boom.
It's interesting. One of the expressions that I was picking up is renovate, don't rebuild. Right? It's been used a lot. What does that mean, Lee?
It's a lot less expensive to fix up an existing structure than start at the foundation. Much less expensive. Because really, you're not doing much in terms of restructuring. You may be putting in new windows, new lights, maybe even a new roof. But the bricks and mortar are typically, other than insulation, bricks and mortar are not being put in or built. It's much less expensive, much more efficient, and a much shorter duration, the mayor will see a return on this within weeks or months, not years.
Let's put things in perspective. By the way, as you can see, this program is underwritten in part by our partnership with the BPU. And one of the things that we're trying to do is educate the public.
Sure.
But the question is, say we're educating the public about these issues. What do we want the average citizen to do? I mean, what are they supposed to do? Go to the municipal council and say, hey, we want you to do these things because we know money's being wasted. Because you looked at that boiler room when you're going through there. Like, give folks some perspective. How much money is being wasted right now? Then we'll go back to the question of the public.
On average, every single local government in this state is going to save 20% off their bill after they complete these improvements.
20%?
That's right.
How do we know that?
Because we've done over 500 audits already in the state, and those are the results.
How quickly the 20%?
How quickly would it take to
How quickly do you get that 20% return?
You pretty much
Not
get
return,
that-
excuse me, reduction.
The reduction happens immediately right after you implement the project. So if I identify something in the audit, it takes me 6 months to put it in, you start to save right there.
So go back to the average person.
Right.
We're trying to educate the average person so that they can say, wait a minute, I want to be a part of this discussion. I want to help save money in the community and be more energy efficient. What should they do?
Well, when a municipality, and look, we're all under the gun economically in terms of budgets. When a municipality or a county or a school district is faced with cuts, one of the things the residents should be doing is saying, listen, how much can we save with energy efficiency so we can keep the police officer, we can keep the school teacher, we can keep that person that's near and dear to us, but make it closed out because of budget constraints.
It's interesting how you just connected energy efficiency, savings, with having more cops on the street, more firefighters, more teachers potentially, because you're talking about school systems.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. Help us on that, Mayor. Is that the argument? You
yeah,
say,
that's
listen,
absolutely the
it's
argument.
not just an energy efficiency issue. Go
No,
ahead.
we, as a government entity, we have to provide services to the residents. And if you start cutting down on services, they're not going to be a happy group of people. So you need to do those types of things to keep the police officer, to keep the school teacher, in order to service the populace.
But where's the resistance? Where is the public resistance right now?
I don't.
Part of the
You don't see
resistance is not knowing, is not
What do you mean?
understanding
That's
what
exactly
it is.
it.
That's not resistance. That's just, I don't want to say ignorance when we're talking about the public, but they don't know. But you're saying there's no, once they find out, there's no resistance?
Generally not, no. People want to save energy. Probably the most difficult thing is, where do we find the money to implement these projects? The audits are free, okay? So everybody's
the
going to go
money?
out and do an audit. The audit comes from the Clean Energy Department. The Clean Energy Department will reimburse the local government for the audit. So it's free. All they have to do is apply.
Is it really free?
Well, there is a charge on people's bills, and it's called the societal benefit charge.
What is it called?
Societal benefit charge.
Societal benefit charge.
Commercial, industrial, residential customers pay something. It's a relatively small amount, but it is something on everybody's bill. That is what funds the clean energy program. We are looking at, and we'll begin next year, looking at changing it from a rebate-based program to a revolving loan program.
What's the difference?
Because as you pay back a loan, the amount in the fund expands to the point where eventually, as all the loans get repaid, you're in a cyclical process. You're not just sending money out the door that you never see again. And the societal benefit charge can shrink. The money would still be available in the same amount. The projects would still be financed with low or no interest over long terms and without money down. But as the money gets repaid, the fund's replenished, and it's there forever.
By the way, in that spirit, log on to our website. We'll link you to the Board of Public Utilities, and they've got, in fact, you know what? Let's just jump right to the Board of Public Utilities. They can bypass us and go right to them. I know we have that website. And that's what they are there for, to educate the consumers, to help people better understand these issues. But help me on this, Ed. When you're out there and you're talking to municipal leaders, how much of it is an education job? A job all about education?
It's an incredible education. There was an interesting phenomenon when this all came about, when we had the influx of federal funds that supplemented some of the 40% of the whole incentive package. And they were actually ending up with an absolutely free $50,000 job for 2010 and up to $125,000.
Whoa, hold on. There's a lot going on here. That program up front, what was it that you were talking about?
The direct install program is the program we're talking about here. And this is, Mayor, what you took advantage of.
Exactly.
So you had everybody got a federal allotment, every municipality got a federal allotment of at least $20,000 that they were able to put towards their incentive package, which means that $20,000 is a 60-40 program, 60%. That means you got a free $50,000 job.
Nice deal.
People wouldn't believe you.
Is this in New Jersey, like there's got to be a catch?
There's got to be a catch.
But there was no catch.
There was no catch, but it was incredible how much time you wasted just trying to make people understand that.
Okay. What percentage of them did you get to understand it?
Once we got the flow going, and the first probably 10-20%, Lee, you were part of this, because we had to go out to the municipalities and send them, demand letters that they had to sign up for these things. But for a long time, I sat in front of a number of city councils explaining, and they wanted to throw Hutch out the window.
Oh, this is wild. And then I'm sure there was some buzz because some municipalities started doing it, right? And then they were, hey, wait a minute, if our neighboring town did it, maybe there's something to this. Is that fair?
Absolutely. We actually went out and sat with Gary Finger, who you saw in the
Yes,
intro.
is that your ombudsman?
He is my ombudsman,
Right.
our ombudsman. We actually went out and met with school districts, mayors, local governments, and that's one of his functions. And a few would get it, get on board, understand that there were no strings attached. And yes, then they would talk among themselves, the mayor's meetings, the meetings of school executives, and word gets around. But I really have to give a lot of credit to the private side. They do an excellent job in marketing, selling, and educating. And we can spend a lot of money doing it. Government's good at spending money. They're not necessarily good at doing the nuts and bolts that business does every day.
Let me ask a different issue here. And again, log on to the, is New Jersey Clean Energy website up there right now, guys? Lee, just check that out, make sure it's the right one.
Looks good to me.
If you didn't know it, that would not have been good. I know you know it.
Looks good to me.
Let's try this. The whole grid issue.
Yeah.
Can we, without opening up a huge Pandora's box in the time we have left, break it down? What's the grid? Why is it important? What does it have to do with this discussion?
Well, the grid is the interconnection of generation with customers. It's all the pipes and all the wires that gets the electricity from where it's generated to where it's used. We're part of a regional transmission operation called PJM. It's 13 states and the District of Columbia, including New Jersey, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio. And when you do things that cut down the amount of energy being used at peak times, like during a school day, during a work day, it puts less stress on the grid and brings the cost down for energy to everybody, because the price of energy is highest at peak times, and peak times occur when people are working and at school and at work, and so we are cutting down the demands on the grid, which improves the reliability of the system. Because heaven forbid we overload the system, everybody shuts
And that
down.
happened a while back.
Yes.
I mean, we're actually doing this program toward the middle of the end of the summer. It'll air after that, but my God, we just went through a horrific heat wave, and we're watching this again. Hopefully that's not happening again. But a few years back, there was a serious problem with the grid. Is that right?
Yes, there was. And it originated in, well, there was one that originated in the Midwest. Another one originated in the Northeast, and they were relatively...
Was it Ohio?
Yes.
We can blame something on Ohio?
Oh, I blame everything.
I just want to make sure. Trust me, they're blaming stuff on us, too.
But, yeah, it's...
But we're all in this together. Is it fair to say? I'm sorry for interrupting, Lee.
Yeah.
We are in this together. To the extent that we're talking about this initiative here in New Jersey through the BPU, is that a model that other states follow, or are we following them?
We're absolutely at the forefront.
We are.
Absolutely, absolutely. When it comes to, you look at all the programs that we have initiated, whether it's for energy efficiency, solar, whether it's for in-state generation, New Jersey, California, Massachusetts, New York lead the pack.
We do. Let me ask you this. Speaking of leading the pack, I know we don't lead the pack when it comes to trying to fight home rule. So, and that's in coming together and merging and consolidating. Mayor, is this the kind of thing where your town could merge? And what's your population?
We're 16,200.
All right. For New Jersey, that's kind of big for some of the municipalities, but another smaller municipality, 5,000, 10,000. Is it the kind of thing where you can come together and jointly apply, or do you have to do it as an individual municipality?
I'm not sure if you
I
have
don't
to...
think there's anything prohibiting them from partnering.
I'm looking
to do
for
it.
partnering
I don't think
opportunities.
there's anything prohibiting them from partnering. But I don't know that there's actually an economic advantage to doing so, since the amount of money that would be available to them would essentially be the same. And we have had terrific participation. I mean, 85% of the eligible municipalities and counties are participating.
Go back again now. I want to get that right.
Yeah.
To be eligible, you have to what?
Well, there are certain criteria in the program. I couldn't recite the.
Okay, but the fact is, of those who are eligible, who can
500
apply,
There were 512, I think, and 462 did take advantage of the program.
And some took advantage in both pockets,
Yes,
2010 and 2011.
Yes.
what's going on with the other ones?
Good question.
No, seriously, what are they? How are they explaining that to taxpayers? Listen, we don't need to do this. Hold on, I heard those guys saved like $100 grand in the next town over. Nah, we don't need to do it. Is that what? I mean, how are they selling
I think
that?
when they see there's going to be different people who are taking advantage of the press to announce that they have green initiatives. And I think without a doubt you're going to find people that are going to be sitting there with people asking those questions exactly for the next town over.
One of the questions I ask these guys whenever I see them is, why aren't you in every single, not you individually, but why aren't people that do your work in every town, every school district, and every county? And Mike usually says to me, well, there's only one of me to go around. But there's a lot of good companies out there. And the answer is, I don't know, but we're getting close. We're close to having all of them.
We're trying to
Jump in,
take
Mike.
the excuses away. I mean, we've met.
Give us some.
Probably the most common excuse is it's too difficult to apply.
What?
To fill out the application. They're just completely consumed with keeping their budgets together and keeping their townships and keeping their school districts running. And for somebody to focus and navigate through the different application procedures, it is a little daunting. I mean, there are many, many programs. I mean, the good news is there's a lot of programs. The bad news is there's too many programs. And what happens is it's very hard for somebody to navigate. That's why the audit is a great starting point. Once you get that energy audit done, the auditor should be able to help you navigate through all the different programs, because there are school programs, there are utility programs, there are federal programs, there are loans. EDA has loans. Clean Energy has many different programs for many different sectors. So it's really difficult for the local governments to just focus and really get through the application process.
Well, why'd you guys do it?
Well, I think the administrator got a hold of the information, and then
Your town administrator.
Our town administrator.
That's a full-time, let's be
That's a
clarified.
full-time
In most
position.
Sorry for interrupting, Mayor. In most New Jersey municipalities, the vast majority, the mayor is part-time.
That's correct.
Not paid a ton of money. And you aren't, why'd you have to laugh?
Well, you're right. Unfortunately, in
Well, you're not
most
gonna lobby for more money.
municipalities,
It's not
no,
gonna
I'm not
happen here,
lobbying
but-
for more money. But it rotates in.
I got it.
Okay.
So it could be the president of the council, okay. My point is that there's a professional administrator in your government, and that person started interacting with professionals and said, hey, let's do this.
Brought it to the council's attention. We said, that's a great idea. And then we assigned it to our construction official. Not a facilities engineer, but our construction official.
And then what happens?
And then he went through the program, applied, got the information, probably met with some people, and then started the ball rolling.
So I'm thinking about this. It doesn't, listen, I know the process is complicated because there is accountability and you got to make sure of a lot of details, because applying for grants, by the way, we do as a nonprofit as well all the time. But the fact is, it's not like every town doesn't have an administrator or manager. It's not like there's not a construction expert. The people are in place to do this, correct?
People are stressed doing their day-to-day jobs. I mean, to Mike's point, I mean, there's a lot there. Every capital dollar is spoken for. Every maintenance dollar is spoken for. What somebody needs to do is they need to take the time to be forthright and think down the road a little bit for their savings and take those dollars and redirect them to something that's being handed to you right there in front of you.
2 minutes left. Solar, give us something else. In the 2 minutes we have left, what are the other areas in terms of savings for municipalities and other hot areas that in the next 3 to 5 years are going to be really hot? Let's go.
Well, number one would be combined heat and power. And
Combined heat and power.
yes, and basically what that means is you generate your own electricity, and it's generally for bigger facilities, hospitals, college campuses, large, even some large school districts, county complexes, prisons. So what you're essentially doing is generating electricity on site, and then instead of all that hot gas that would go up the stack, we use a heat exchanger and we take that energy and we use it. So in the end, we are twice as efficient as what a conventional power plant would be.
What else, Ilya? What are we talking about here?
Well, we have solar. I mean, there's solar programs available. There is a subsidy called an SREC, a certificate.
SREC, we've talked about that a lot.
That helps finance the project. But most of any distributed generation that is both efficient and clean is desirable because it reduces energy costs, cuts down pressure on the grid. It could be geothermal. It could be biomass, it could be combined heat and power, which is really a big deal in light of gas prices these days. But energy efficiency in general, and there are many different ways of financing it, whether you're on the residential side, commercial side, or industrial side. And if they simply go to our website, they can look at all the different programs. We're trying to push clean and distributed generation for the reasons you mentioned, take pressure off the grid and cut down energy costs.
15 seconds left.
I would take and do all your energy efficient measures so you're not building a solar plant that's taking care of a load that's bigger than it really should be.
Good stuff. I got to tell you something. You talk about clean energy initiatives for local governments. It's not only important environmentally, it's important to save money for cops and firemen and teachers and others. Great job.
How about it?
Thank you.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 20 years of broadcast excellence. And 13-4WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of Caucus New Jersey has been provided by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities and New Jersey's Clean Energy Program, St. Peter's College, Barnabas Health, and Sun National Bank. Promotional support provided by NJ Biz, All Business, All New Jersey, and the Star Ledger and NJ.com, Everything Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios. Don't miss Steve Adubato and co-host Raphael P. Rahman each week on New Jersey Capitol Report, airing on NJTV, 13, and WHYY. Check your local listings.